So last week on some bonus content that is only available over on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast, make sure you keep up over there with all the transfer portal coverage that we've got for you here at Locked On College Football all week and all portal season long, of course. I mentioned one Philip Blidi. He's in transfer from Indiana. He's had other stops in his career, and he has played, let's just say, a few seasons of college football, and for his final one, he's going to the Auburn Tigers. Now, is this a guy that anybody expects to go into Auburn and be an absolute game wrecker in the SEC of all places? That is, shall we say, very well known for its play in the trenches. Is he going to go in and dominate, turn himself into a first-round NFL draft pick? No, he's not. But here's what you are going to get with Philip Blidi, a guy who is in college game shape, as they say, on account of, he's been in the weight room for 5-6 years, and he's someone who's going to come in and bring a high floor. And those sorts of guys are underrated because the all-conference guys, those are the flashy names. Those are the guys that, catch everybody's attention, and they are putting up big numbers all throughout the year. Interior defensive linemen aren't like that. They aren't. They're just guys that show up and make an impact play after play after play, and you don't always see it. It doesn't always materialize in the box score. This is a position of need for Auburn, and Washington was also going after Philip Blidi. This isn't someone who, had Auburn as his best or only good option out there. Washington and other schools were interested. Auburn ends up landing him. It's a nice get for the Tigers. So he has found a home. There's still a lot of names in the transfer portal who have not yet found homes. Jaden Rashada is one of them. So I talked about Rashada on Friday's show and how I think Georgia is a perfect fit. You can go to a place where you're not in the headlines. You go to the best program in college football, a great head coach, good offensive coordinator, good veteran quarterback to learn from in Carson Beck. Plus, they have some other talented guys in that room who he'd probably compete with for the starting job in 2025, not 2024. But is that the only place where he could fit? No, not necessarily. So Rashada's lone year at Arizona State, he flashed the potential. From time to time, you'd see him make throws, show off the arm talent or the mobility, and you'd see these glimpses of, oh boy, he had a lot of stars and a big number next to his name coming out of high school. I think that was why. So he does need time. He is not someone who can go anywhere and start right away. I present to you two schools he has been tied to in which this can absolutely work. One of them, the aforementioned Auburn Tigers. You have a veteran quarterback in Peyton Thorne. You have an offensive head coach in Hugh Freeze. They threw for 162 yards per game last year. That was last in the SEC. I don't expect that to continue. You look at Hugh Freeze's track record with offense, I don't expect that to continue. If Peyton Thorne is the starter this year, I bet he'll have a better season in year two at the helm with the transfer portal moves that they have made, the way their offensive line is expected to play. Auburn should be a better football team than they were a year ago. But if Rashada were to go to Auburn, you would suddenly have a guy that has got a little bit of experience. Maybe he's not your lead backup quarterback, but he'd certainly be your top option going into 2025, or among them at the very least. He'd be the biggest name, at least outside of Auburn, that people know as to who could start for the Tigers in 2025. And I'm just a fan of any time you can go somewhere. You look at what Dante Moore is doing up at Oregon. He's going to go sit behind who? Veteran quarterback Dylan Gabriel. Rashada could go to Auburn and sit behind who? Veteran quarterback Peyton Thorne. And go to a place where you should be pretty well supported. I mean, Cam Coleman is an incoming true freshman. He's going to be a little bit more seasoned at the very least by the time Rashada could be the starter. You know what a quarterback's best friend is? A number one receiver like Cam Coleman. He and Ryan Williams both could be two of the best receivers in college football this year as true freshmen. Remember, this is a loaded wide receiver class that's going to the NFL. So a lot of talent has been taken out of the sport. There's a lot of talent brought in. Do not be surprised if either Cam Coleman or Ryan Williams, I think Williams with Bama has got the better quarterback in Jalen Milroe compared to Peyton Thorne. Don't be surprised if one of those guys has 1,000-yard plus season, or maybe even something better than that. They are tremendously talented, ready to play right away. Cam Coleman might be the best wide receiver on Auburn's roster. Might. I said might. But Rashada would be an intriguing option there at the very least. He's also been linked reportedly to Mississippi State. which is an intriguing situation because the Bulldogs are in rebuild mode. This is going to be year one with Jeff Lebby. It did not work out with Zach Arnett this past season, and they quickly make a move. They bring in Lebby from Oklahoma, offensive coach. They had a great offense with Dylan Gabriel last year with the Sooners. I don't know if that's a perfect spot for Jaden Rashada to go, but I can definitely think of worse places for him to end up because when you are looking for your next home and you're a guy who's had Rashada's track record, you want to go somewhere where you don't have expectations, right? You don't have to perform at a high level. You can kind of be out of the spotlight, which is why I think being a backup at Georgia or Auburn would be a really good situation. If he were to go to Mississippi State, could he have a better chance of playing? Yeah, they're not expected to be very good this year. They are probably going to be towards the bottom of the SEC. But on the flip side of that coin, if the Bulldogs were to land him, would they start him? Would they at least play him a little bit, allow him to develop because you're building for the future? I can see that argument. I can absolutely see it. So those are two schools that popped up for Rashada, who is the biggest quarterback name in the portal right now. And, somehow, some way, I don't know how, but an Ohio State quarterback is yet to put his name in the transfer portal. Maybe it is that open of a competition. Maybe there are 3 or 4 guys that think I could be the starting quarterback. Maybe Will Howard and Julian Sayin and Devin Brown. Maybe they all think that. And Aaron Nolan and Lincoln Keenholz are just sitting there going, we're good. We'll just, wait our turn, wait for our time, wait for our moment, that sort of thing. It's a curious situation to say the least. I want to close, since we talk about the transfer portal a healthy amount on this show, as we should. It's popping right now. I want to close with something that just embodies part of the craziness of college football right now. So, do you know the name Adam Kasai? No, probably not. He's in the transfer portal. Who is he? Well, he's a 4-star edge prospect who committed to Clemson. He's now transferring out of Clemson. And will Clemson bring anybody in to replace him in the portal? No, probably not. Do you know what recruiting class Kasai came to Clemson as a member of? Wait for it. I feel like Barney Stinson here. Wait for it. 2024. 2024 commit. Portal. It's April 22nd. He's been there for an hour. He's barely played. He's in the portal. So when you hear coaches talk about it's hard to coach in this environment, it's difficult to be here, it's difficult to do this, it's difficult to do that, and people push back and say, oh, you're paid a bunch of money. You shouldn't care. You're just upset that players have power. Do you know what went into recruiting a guy of that caliber? You had to scout him. You had to go see him in person. You had to develop a relationship. You had to foster that relationship over many months. You had to get him to ultimately commit. You had to get him to put his name on paper on signing day. You had to get him to campus. You had to do about 18 different steps for him to put on a Clemson uniform, all for him to say, I'm going elsewhere. I'm not relaying this information because it's a sign that Dabo Swinney can't win in college football. I think this year is going to be really telling for Dabo. I think he's got to at least push for an ACC conference title game appearance, or else questions will be raised and they'll be legitimate about whether or not you can push back on NIL in the portal and not lean into those elements of college football and still succeed in today's world. I think those can be fair questions to be asked. But I empathize with coaches because that's crazy. That's crazy. I don't know the details of the situation. I don't know exactly why he transferred. I'd imagine it's because of playing time. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just saying, a 2024 commit without a coaching change. Julian Sayin at Alabama is one thing. He commits to Nick Saban. Nick Saban leaves, and then Sayin, enrolls at Alabama, transfers to Ohio State. That's one thing. This is another thing, and it's pretty crazy. That's the transfer portal for you. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time, and until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.